Good morning. What I'd like to do is talk about LinkedIn crowdfunding. See, one of the things I don't understand is that crowdfunding is coming. It's coming in a big way. However, we seem to think that we need an application like Kiva or Grow VC or all these other, quote, crowdfunding startups, right, to crowdfund for entrepreneurs. Now, ultimately, by using these other platforms, what do you have to do? Think about it. First, what you have to do is you have to say who you are. Well, think about it. On LinkedIn, people already know who you are. They know your participation in groups. They know what you're working on. And not only that, they're joining you because they value that connection. So there's an equity built up in who you are already. So, and the other thing too is, like, on all these other platforms, you're giving away money to a third party. Whereas if you crowdfund directly with LinkedIn, if you can create the environment where, think about it, you have the slide share, you can do PowerPoint, you can put up all sorts of lot more information about your project on LinkedIn than you could ever do on any of these sites. Now, what do these sites have that LinkedIn doesn't? Well, the only thing they have really is a designation. And just like in that, what I foresee in the future on LinkedIn, you should have basically a designation that you are a crowdfunder. Now, what do I think that designation should be? It should be like an in network or the open network, where you have the in by your name, or you have the little circle star by your name. Have you seen it? Imagine you had a green dollar sign, and that green dollar sign indicated that, hey, I am part of the LinkedIn crowdfunding. Now, what I propose is that we should be able to write an open application. I'm going to talk to developers, where we use the LinkedIn API. It's free. You sign up, and ultimately, it's kind of like a mirror of LinkedIn, except for it has the green, and you basically make it project driven. So again, maybe what the folks get for doing this, maybe they become kind of like a PayPal or a bank for holding the money and making money off the money. But ultimately, you could basically leverage your LinkedIn. And the key thing here is something like what I'm doing with FoundUps, is to provide which I think is extremely fair and reasonable return. So if you're providing a 60% referral on the amount of equity purchased by an individual, and you limit the purchase from like $10 to $5,000, that way you limit the risk, and maybe you can only crowdfund a number of projects or something. We can figure out some safeguards. Then ultimately what you're looking at is really having access to a range of investors that are normally not available to you. See, you have to understand, the SEC blue sky laws really don't exist to really protect you, right? They say that it's there to protect you, but think about it. I can go to Vegas and pretty much spend 150% of what I can make, right, in credit and everything else. I could go and buy lottery tickets down the street corner, and I can spend, there's no limits to stop me. And the abuse on lottery tickets for, quote, education, and the abuse on gambling or sports gambling is far greater than any abuse will be on any potential investing. Now, what is okay, and you'll hear this term friends, family, and fools, is for you to go and abuse people's love and affection for you and belief in you for investing, right? For me, I think it's evil because, ultimately a friend and a family and a fool, they're all connected. They all know you as an individual. And really what they are investing in is you and not necessarily in the idea. When you start crowdfunding and you start using LinkedIn, you're dealing with business people all around the world, right? And ultimately, these individuals are looking really at the idea. They're taking you really out of the picture and looking at what you're doing as, is there any, is it a good business idea? Is what Michael Trout is doing viable, doable, right? So crowdfunding to me is a much better way to approach entrepreneur startups, because all of a sudden you take kind of the personal side out of it. And especially when you use a network like LinkedIn, you can ultimately leverage, like my 3-tier network is 11 million. There are 11 million people 3 deep to me. There's 370,000. Actually, that's wrong. That's 4 deep. Actually, 3 down from me. So me, 1, 2, 3. Actually, 4 down is 3 million. There's 375,000 2 deep from me. Here's me. Okay. Now, if you can leverage a $5,000 investor from 20 of your 375, or your 11 million, just 20, I've raised my 100,000. Now, what does it mean? I don't have to go to angel investors. I don't have to go write silly business plans. I can write and tell you what I'm going to do, right? I can write and say this is how the money's going to be spent. Not worry about gatekeepers on Kickstarter, or gatekeepers on angel investors, or gatekeepers on VC investors. Ultimately, what I'm doing is I'm saying, look, guys, here's my plan. I'm looking for $5,000 from 20 people. I'm going to give you a 5-to-1 return within the next 9 months to 36 months, so 1 year to 3 years. And not only that, I'd be willing to back that first initial investment, saying that, in 3 years, if I can't pay you back, I'll return your original investment without interest, okay, as a safeguard. So yeah, you're going to be out some interest. In reality, though, by you investing in my project, you're going to, in a way, set the validation of my project. So a lot of times I talk, what's the validation of what you're doing, right? Well, I'm going to dictate that validation based on what I think it is, because in reality, when you have a startup and you have no product and you have an idea, setting the valuation of that is extremely hard. Now, I can go to UNoodle, and UNoodle will tell me that my project, based on the input that I put in, is worth over $24 million by December 2012. That's right. So there's some sort of noodle they use, so I can use their valuation. So instead of doing that, the solution is to use LinkedIn as that vehicle. So I'm looking for some developers. If there's developers out there, if there's individuals who can understand what I'm saying, is like, let's create an API solution using LinkedIn and maybe Facebook to create a crowdfunding solution that will connect people together and become a connector. That's all, a connector. It's not making money off the people, right? It's a connector. Saying this exists, it's open, it's kind of like, an open platform. So my name is Michael Trout, bringing you a crowdfunding solution idea for LinkedIn and Facebook to help entrepreneurs. Thank you. Oh, visit my blog, mtrout.com, for more information.